Okay, so here I am. I don't know that I've met all of you, so I'm just going to give you a quick intro. I am Candice Berube. I'm the director of the English market in the US, and I've been with USANA for about a year and a half at this point. Prior to USANA, I was in the field, just like you all. I built businesses in the party plan business, so that would include like a candle business, skincare, jewelry, where I had to book shows and create a business that way. But I've also been in the nutritional space where I've built $1 million business in network marketing for nutritionals. So I have been where you are, and my intention here is to help make this super efficient for you. I'm going to tell you this. I don't reinvent the wheel. I have been in your shoes. I know what works. And what I will challenge you to do is, before you decide whether it's going to work or not, give it a shot and see, okay? So the worst thing that could happen is you think, oh, that's not going to work, and you don't even try it, right? So I'm going to challenge you to go outside your comfort zone a little bit with some of this stuff, especially the closing the sale, which is, another little secret about me is I don't like to hear the word no. But you have to in this business, right? But I got to a point where I was getting 9 out of 10 people were saying yes to me. And that was buying the product or booking the show or whatever it is because of the way you do it, okay? So that being said, let's jump right in. So we're going to talk about how to run a successful Celavive experience. And this includes before the event, during the event, and at the conclusion of the event. So really the conclusion of the event, I'm calling it its own thing, even though that's still part of the event, right? This is the close right here, but it's important that I pulled it out, okay? So let's first talk about before the event. Now, what we'll do is, if you have questions, feel free to either, I'm just trying to see if we can allow you to raise your hand. It doesn't look like it here, but that's all right. You can go into chat. You also can just interrupt me too. I'm pretty easygoing. I have 3 children, so I'm used to being interrupted. So don't worry about if you interrupt me, okay? Wait, hold on one second. Previous. Okay. So the first thing you're going to do is, like anything, you're going to make your list of the people that you know you want to have at the event. Okay, so this includes associates and any customers and maybe people in your life who you think would love Celavive, okay? So you're going to make your list. You're also obviously at this point booking your venue. Now, you may not have a venue per se. You may be doing it in your home. That's fine. I used to love to do events in, well, I would do them in skincare. You can do this. But I would do it in like a private room of a restaurant where we would have, and there are some restaurants where they will do this as long as you go off menu and you're ordering food, they'll let you book like a little bit of a space. So it didn't cost any money, but it was like a central location that I knew everybody could get to. So I would do something like that. Or like I said, in your home, that's fine. If you're working with other associates, it's probably in your best interest. I mean, depending on how many people you have, you may want to do it in a public location, okay? You're going to want to order your products. So make sure you have a full set. So here would be my suggestion to you all. You're going to want to make sure you have enough product for everybody. You may have just purchased your own, but I used to just purchase a demo set. So I would just have that for all of my shows and my parties, okay? And I would probably recommend getting the normal to dry, mainly because 80 to 90% of the people you're going to work with will have normal to dry skin. And if it happens to be somebody who's super oily, then just recommend the other set. We have that, Garrett. And I say that because then if there's a worst case scenario, customer service can help out and swap it out if it's not good for them. But that would be my suggestion. Okay. The other thing is, if you haven't already done it, create the Facebook event. Now, I really relied heavily on Facebook events when I was doing my business because I felt like, but I only utilized it in a way that allowed me to save the date. I never looked at the Facebook event as being the invite. I just want you guys to know that. Like, a Facebook event to me is not an invite. It is a marketing tool. It allows me to let them know about the event, right? So they're saving the date, and it allows me to post in there specials or testimonies or before and after pictures so that I'm piquing people's interest and getting them excited about the product. All right. The invitation comes from you to them, and this has to be a personal invitation, you all. It can't be a group message. Have you ever gotten a group message and looked at it and you're like, why'd they put me in this? Like, now you're getting all the dings and notifications from people you don't know, right? And not only that, but when you do a group message, you don't feel particularly invited. I don't necessarily feel compelled to go to somebody's event when they put me on a message with 40 people. Do you think of yourself, right? Like, but if that person took the time to individually message me, I would be considering it, right? And there is a saying in this business, effort out is a direct correlation to results in. So if the effort to do one message to 40 people is pretty small, you're going to get small results. The effort to reach out to 40 people individually, though, that's more of an effort, and you're going to get more result. Okay? Does that make sense? Does anybody have any questions right now? Let me see who else is on. We have Crystal, Lexus, Vanya. So awesome. Glad you guys could join. Okay. So in that moment when you create the Facebook event, you're going back to your list here. You're going to first of all make sure they're all in the Facebook event. And you know, obviously some people aren't on Facebook. And so you're going to be reaching out to them individually. Now we have an e-card system through our through Share USANA Media Center, but you also could we're working on getting a flyer, and that would be, we've had them before. It's like an editable PDF where you can enter the details in. And the goal would be to just do, and I don't know if you've ever heard of Red Stamp. Red Stamp is an app that you can get that I used to use religiously, and you can do, it creates like a JPEG invite, and you can take a Celavive image. This would be like a workaround. You can take a Celavive image, throw it into the invite, and the colors can be all Celavive branded. You can pick your colors, and you could literally just type in date, time, what it's for, RSVP information, and then and it saves to your phone. It saves to image, and you can just text that out to people. But I used to use that religiously. No matter what it was I was hosting, whether it was a party or a call, I would use Red Stamp. It's a free app too. Give it a shot. But do something that at least, or like create a text that you can send out to people, and make sure you change the name, right? Nothing's worse than Jenny getting something that says, hi, Katie, because I have done that. Don't do what I do. Change the name. But that's really your invite, is that first touch, okay? The Facebook events you're marketing, it's your save the date, but the invitation is you personally reaching out, okay? And that's this next bullet right here, was invite all guests and send them a Facebook message or a text message. And I also would at this point encourage your guests to bring a friend. Here's the deal. And I swear this is legitimate. You're probably thinking, okay, I'm doing it at my home. The max amount of seats I have are 10, right? I really can't exceed 10. So I'm going to invite, 10 people. Then you have 5 people that say they can come and 1 or 2 people show up. Like, you don't want to be in that place. You want to be in a place of abundance. So I always encourage you to invite 40, to get 13 people to say yes, to get 7 or 8 to show up, okay? And you're always going to want to kind of give yourself a little insurance, because you're going to tell everybody to bring a friend, but only literally if you do that and incentivize it by giving a gift or something, then 1 to 2 people only probably will bring a guest. So then you're back at your 10. Does that make sense? It's absolutely a numbers game. I mean, I know you all, I've been in a situation where I've said to somebody that I'm going to their event, and then something comes up last minute. I feel terrible. Or maybe I literally woke up that morning in my jammies and did not want to get out of my jammies, and I told them I'd order online. You all know that happens, right? So if that's the case, this is just your insurance right here. Okay. All right, I'm going to pause. I'm going to let you all ask any questions about this portion. We're there right now. This is where we're at right this second for you. Okay, that's you. You're all sponges. You're soaking it all in. All right, here we go. 1 week out.
I'll just say one thing real quick.
Yeah.
The inviting a friend thing is so great. I just had an event on Friday, and I told, I last minute after talking to you, told somebody to invite a friend, and she brought a friend. And so many times the friend is the one that's like even more interested than the person you invited. So
that's awesome, Fernanda. Thank you for sharing that. It's so true. And I promise you all, you will not have too many people. I do think that gets to be a fear, like, oh my gosh, I don't have room. What an awesome problem to have that you have too many people. You'll figure it out, right? Just know that the 40 people you invite, 10, you want 10, right? So that's great. So 1 week out, you're going to follow up with your guest list. So most likely you either got in that first initial send out, you either got maybes, let me check my schedule, yes, whatever it is. Follow up with each one of those people who was not a no. So that includes the maybes, the yeses, and the no answers, okay? Because the yeses still, you could even say something in this where it's not like a bothering thing. For me, I might be doing this thing right here, get the goodie bags ready. And that would include, like, you're not giving them all like a product of Celavive, right? So what you could do is you could get the vitalizing serum. You could do something completely unrelated, you know, so Mother's Day is coming. Maybe you want to do, maybe you love candles, or maybe you want to get each one a flower or a small plant or something. Like, really think about, and it's not, you don't want to break the bank. And that's the thing. I used to really enjoy this portion of all of my business because it was my way of adding value. You all are business owners. If you put up shop and put a sign outside the door, you all know the stores you go in are the ones that maybe have like a wine and cheese or some sort of, you know, or maybe they have a gift with purchase that day. I mean, you have to compete with that. That's what we're, so being relevant, that to me is being relevant and adding value. So, and remember, there's that third thing, the conclusion of the event. Your intention is to close the sale and do a really good job and make sure everybody who came in is purchasing something, right? So you're taking a portion of that commission that you'll be making and putting it back into your guests, okay? And this is the other thing. So with this, let me just not get too far ahead of myself. Maybe take a picture of your goodie bag and text it to those people so it doesn't feel like you're bothering them, right? Like, hey, I'm so excited for next week. I know you had to check your schedule. Look at the cute goodie bags I have, or whatever. Okay. I wouldn't recommend doing any sort of money off of anything because at this point they don't know what it is that they're going to like or not like. So when it comes to, and this is actually back to the Celavive, the serum samples, I don't think they have a perceived value of that yet. They haven't tried the product, right? So I would do something that'd be more fun. I mean, it could just be this right here. When I say keep food and drink simple, I'm not saying don't do it. I'm saying don't do a 5-course meal. No one has time for that. Okay? And I've seen people invite their family and the Celavive event lasts 5 hours. Granted, they might be doing something with their family and they made it part of it, but and there are some cultures where that's really, but for me, I'm going to tell you, I'm the one you want in your home. I'm not coming for 5 hours. I don't have time. I have kids. Like, I don't have time. So I have time for an hour and a half. And it may be really fun if you have like some really fun coffee that you're serving or some other sort of punch or something that I would normally get. That would be fun. Maybe take a picture of that, right? So the point is to make it fun and simple. It's not about the food, okay? So that following up is key. The other thing you're going to want to make sure you're doing is, and this may be a non-issue. Fernanda, do you use mirrors for everybody? Like individually?
Well, I did. Well, what happened was, which is what has seemed to happen is I did like a bit of a presentation first, and by the time it got to, you know, trying on Celavive, I really only had one person that wanted to do the whole thing. But I had the all set up for it. So
maybe you might find value in what I'm going to share today, actually, because I'm going to teach it to you a little different than that. So I would make sure you can go to dollar store, make sure you have mirrors, make sure you have your product, and make sure there's a towel at every station. You could do the disposable towels and a cotton pad. Like, you know, again, I wouldn't go crazy. You could have headbands if you want, but I sold skincare, you all. And I might have had a headband in their little packet, but really they usually just pulled their hair back or something. So maybe have headbands on site with the cotton pads for the makeup remover if you're using that, and on the towels to wash off the cleanser, okay? And this is really important for the clothes. You want to go on Share USANA and get the order forms, all right? This is important because this is a physical reminder of what they're doing in your home, okay? And you're going to want the PowerPoint. You're going to want to make sure that's downloaded on your laptop or your computer, okay? And the last thing is you want to make sure within 24 hours of the event, you're text messaging all your yeses and maybes just to say, hey, I got, you know, the coffee, whatever it is that you're doing, or whatever, you know, the goodie bags are set, or, you know, my famous banana bread is cooking, whatever it is, like you're sending that quick text out. Can't wait to see you tomorrow. It'll be so fun to connect. Okay. All right. Any questions on that?
Yes. I have a question. What's the PowerPoint? Is it the Celavive PowerPoint?
So it's the PowerPoint that details all the products and shares about each one.
Okay. And are we sharing that with them, or are we just talking, using that for prompts?
So I'll talk about that in a second, because you can, I'm getting right into that. Any other questions, you guys, before we go into the event and what we're doing? Okay. So, okay, here's the deal. It is, say your event starts at 10 a.m., let's say it's Saturday, 10 a.m. You have to be super disciplined with this hour and a half. You are the one in control of this event. And if you have to tell yourself that 5 times before people walk in the door, do it. And I shouldn't say if you have to. You need to tell yourself you're in control of this event. The worst thing I ever hear is, I couldn't get control of them. They were talking and laughing for 30 minutes, and before I knew it, and people were leaving. They weren't trying to skip. No, you are in control of the event, okay? How do you do that? Well, you do it in a very low-key way where they don't feel pushed around. Like, it's not about that. It's about being very disciplined. So for 15 minutes, you're allowing people to enter your home or wherever it is, just 15 minutes. Now, sometimes there have been times where, like, you'll get a text, oh my gosh, my best friend, she's 5 minutes away. Fine, 15, 20 minutes. But at that time, you're like, all right, everybody, let's go on in the dining room. So here's how I would suggest you set this up. If it was me, you have a separate, like, let's say the kitchen counter is home base. Everybody goes to the kitchen usually. The kitchen counter is home base. You have a dining room or a separate area set up with tables, and you need one more area. That other area is your checkout room, okay? So for me, oftentimes what this looked like in hostesses' homes was the kitchen was the drinks and the food that people would mingle. The dining room was the actual area we were presenting, and then the living room was where we checked out, okay? And I was very specific with those spaces. And as a matter of fact, when I would walk into homes, I would set up the dining room, and I'd go march into the living room and leave my calculator, my pens, my pencils, and all the other things I need to close, okay? Because that was the space to check out. There is something to be said is when you identify spaces and purposes to spaces, you will see results, okay? So I gave you a little tip on how to get them into the dining room. And you may be hearing my dog bark for some reason because I have a puppy. She'll stop barking in a second. Pardon the 6-month-old puppy. But I would suggest to bring everybody into the dining room is to say, hey, everybody, we're getting ready to start. Come on in. We're doing a quick raffle. I would even, when they welcome, maybe you do a door prize raffle. Maybe everybody gets a raffle ticket. And again, like the raffle, it needs to be something small. I'm really not wanting you to feel like Candice is having us give up, the farm here and before we've even sold anything. I'm wanting to challenge you to act like a business owner that maybe had put up shop with a sign, right? The good news is you don't have that overhead. But there is still something to be said about this. So some sort of raffle, bring everybody in, everybody take a seat. We're gonna do a quick raffle that pulls them together, okay? Every single time you are going, and you have to do this next thing and practice it. So as everybody sits down, you're gonna say, okay, I can't wait to show you Celavive. It has literally made such a difference in my skin in the last year that I've been using it. I just wanted to give you, I know some of you may know about USANA, may not know about USANA. I just wanna give you a quick background on why I love this brand so much, why I partner with it. And then you're giving your 2-minute Celavive business. And it could be, I fell in love with the supplements because I really started feeling a difference in my energy level. And as soon as Celavive launched, I'm in my 40s, the clock is marching on. Celavive has allowed me to turn back the clock a little bit. And what I've seen is, right, and so it could be your results, other people's results, but something to draw them in. And then I always think right here, the USANA biz story, this is mainly like, and one of the best things about my USANA business is I get to be at home with my kids during the day, or I get to change people's lives, or this fits into the nooks and crannies of my day with my high-powered lawyer gig that I have, whatever it is, right? This is important right here. You must say it, because you don't know who in that room is a potential associate, right? They may need to hear, I'm gonna, not to digress too much, but I find this to be really interesting for you guys to know. I started in direct sales when I was 25, and I was at a candle party, and the woman said, I had already seen 2 or 3 of her shows, right? Like, so she booked with my aunt, then my mom booked a show, and then I booked a show, and I've seen her say 3 times in front of the crowd that she earns $1,000 a month working 3 to 5 hours a week. And I thought to myself, dang, I can do that, and I can do it better than she can. I remember thinking that and thinking, I can fit this in 1 to 2 nights a week and make $1,000 a month or whatever it was. And then I was like, sign me up. I booked my 6 shows. So that is really important. I heard it enough times where she would never have maybe looked at me and was like, she should do this, but it's not her decision. It's my decision. And if you already have people thinking about it, how much easier is your job at getting them to sign up if they're already thinking about it in their head, right? And you could even say, I invite you to watch me today because USANA is a household name that no one knows about. Right? We need people like you. So I invite you to watch me today, and I'm happy to share a little bit about, how you could get started if you want to. And then you let it go and you move on. Okay? Anybody have questions up to that point? Notice I strategically do that so that I can take a sip of water. There's nothing worse than watching a presenter sometimes and everybody's watching you while you drink something. Okay. So this is where, Fernanda, this is how I might do it a little differently. I would utilize the PowerPoint, and I don't know that I would show the screen to people. I would have the screen up, and I would say, okay, everybody, we're going to first start with the cleanser or whatever. Or maybe it's just the screen of, just let me tell you a little bit about Celavive and why you're going to love it. We're going to talk about intelligence and all the things that make it different, right? You're like, okay, the first product we're going to try on. And this is where I would not give a presentation separate from the skincare. The presentation is the skincare.
Okay.
All right. So I would say, okay, first step, everybody get their wet towel. They're all getting their wet towels. Now this becomes fun. All of a sudden, there's like 8 to 10 women, everybody's taking their makeup off. And I know some people have said, and tell me whatever you want about this, but are you going to do it in your hand? Are you going to do it everything but your eyes? No, we're all in. It's all face off, right? Like literally, and I'll like, listen, it's all face off, whether it's a 10 a.m. or it's a, evening, but we're taking this, you guys need to see what this is like. And if they really don't want their eyes, fine, do everything but the eyes, but the whole face needs to come off because they need to feel how it feels. So they're going to get the washcloth. They're going to get their face wet. You're like, okay, everybody. Now here's where You may go around and just squirt, 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 squirt with the cleanser. Another thing you could do is look on Amazon for makeup trays. And this was so key for me when I did my skincare business. Before everybody arrived, I would have the makeup trays out and I would set them all up. So in the bottom right, cleanser, in the bottom left, and the toner's a little harder because it'll be on the cotton swab, right? So I squeeze them on the cotton swab, right? So you could do that, or you can just take the time and just squirt, squirt, squirt. All right, everybody, right? And then they're going up and out. Now listen to me. This is totally, I'm just going to say it. It's Mary Kay. So I did. And it was always up and out, up and out. Does anybody know why it's up and out?
Presses your skin up.
Yeah, we don't want to push it down. We need to get it up, right? So up and out, up and out. And that would be the cleanser. And I would say, okay, now everybody, now just take a few minutes. While you do that, tell them the details of why the cleanser is so awesome. So tell them the details while they're doing the thing, okay? So then you rinse that off, and then you go to the next product. Okay, everybody, the toner, my favorite product, right? And if you have the makeup remover, I think there's a slide in there for that. Let me know if there isn't. But some people may not, and I'm okay with them not wanting to do their eyes, but I really think the only way they're going to get a strong response to this is if they put it on the face. You have to put the product on the people. That is how you sell it, okay? So you're gonna go through the products in just that way. Okay, everybody, it's the toner. Squirt, squirt, squirt. As they're toning, you're reading about the toner, okay? Then there's the eye essence, the serum, right? So that all should take only about 30 minutes, okay? Now, and it really should be just that, as I had mentioned here, have them reference the products on the product order form. You could say, all right, everybody, now the order form is next to your seat. Pass those out. Those should be set up with everything else on the table. I do not want you holding hostage the order forms. No, their order forms are at their seats. And actually, what's a really good idea is when you get to the table after the raffle, you say, okay, everybody, you have an order form next to you. Take the pen I gave you and write your name at the top. And you could even say, I mean, I don't want to do another drawing, but I loved giving stuff away. I think you've heard me say that before. But I say, at the end of the night, we're going to do another quick raffle with the order forms or something, right? Now, you don't need to give me your phone number, your address. I just want your name at the top. Does anybody know what happens when somebody puts their name on something? What happens? Don't anybody be shy here. What do you think happens? Nobody knows?
It becomes theirs.
Yes.
I had to find my unmute.
Yes, it becomes theirs. And when it becomes theirs, all of a sudden, that changes the whole thing for them when it comes to trying on the product. They start thinking about it being their product, you all. Okay? So their order form's here, their name's on it, you're referencing the product. This portion should take 30 minutes. The big piece of this is the close I'm going to go into. And I know we're supposed to be 30 minutes, but this is too good not to keep going. Okay, any questions right now on anything we just talked about the actual presentation, what you're doing, how you're getting them to listen?
It's good.
All right. You're welcome. We're still sponges, right? We're still sponges. I love it. Okay. Conclusion of the event. To me, this is where, well, you're bringing home the bacon right here. I have heard more people tell me, I did the thing and everybody left and said they had to go. That's heartbreaking to me. You do not have control of your event if that happens, okay? Now, I say that though, you all need to know, I've had plenty of events in my career where people would walk out, and you better believe this is what I was doing. All right, 10 people just walked out without ordering. What did I do wrong? Where they felt like, I don't want to say it but like they felt like that was okay, right? Like they're coming to an event to try skincare. I at least want to know what they think about it. That's my fault that they walked out without telling me their opinion. So how do you fix this? So like I said, you have a checkout room with a calculator. Now, here's where this is really, oh, dang it. Hold, please. This is really important. You must have the products in the checkout room with you, and I'm going to tell you why in a minute. So either take the products you brought and bring them in there, which is fine because nobody needs them anymore, which is probably the best select situation. Or maybe you have another set that's new and you have it in the other room, but have that. Have your calendar and pencils and pens, okay? And the pens should actually be in the room with the people. The pencil should be in with you, and I'll tell you in a minute why you should have that, okay? So you have the checkout room. So here's what I say. I say, okay, you all, here's the deal. I'm doing a door prize drawing at the end. I don't want you to miss it, so those order forms are really important. But the only way I can really do my job well is to really know what you think of the products. And so what I want to do is talk to each one of you individually for just a couple minutes, just to get a sense of what your thoughts are on the product. Okay, super painless. You know, while you're waiting, maybe you're looking at the product, you know, go have something to eat. And, you know, I'll be just a couple minutes with each person. Who's ready to go first? You know, who has to get going to go get kids ready to go first? Usually there's somebody in the audience. Like, I am. I'm like, okay, great. Let's go in the other room. So I literally, body language, see, this body language is so important. You all will see me doing it in a live video because it is so important for engagement. So be like, oh my gosh, great. I lean back. Great, let's, here, grab your order form. I have my hand just on their elbow or somewhere near them, not pushy, but like just like, or I'll touch and we'll go. So then we go sit in the living room where we're always sitting kitty corner. I always try to make it so that we're close enough for me to touch the leg, okay? Like this is really important to body language and how you do your job. It is so key. Nonverbal communication. Look it up if you're unsure what that is, but study it. So people are waiting. This is what happens, you all. If you're doing it right, usually there's people in the kitchen who are like, I have to get going, like, but they're not leaving. They actually don't leave, they wait. So with that person, I'm like, what was your favorite product today? So here's the close. I lean in, I touch their knee. I'm like, what was your favorite product today? Oh my gosh, I love that toner. I'm like, I know, wasn't that amazing? And whatever. So then they say, and I always ask us yes questions with an upswing. Wasn't that amazing? It was. I'm so impressed, right? Like that's how you continue that yes conversation. I'm like, okay, what we're going to do really quickly is I want to get a sense for what you're loving about the products. We're just going to go product by product. And so then I take the makeup remover and I pass it over and I say, the makeup remover, what are your thoughts on that? And we go product by product, okay? Or another thing you could do is you could have like a basket and you say, let's take the makeup remover. What are your thoughts on that? And we go product by product. And then we sit there and like, listen, here's the deal. This product I told you, and actually you all, my story with Celavive is I went to my husband's, what year reunion was it? 25th reunion, I think, 25th high school, yep. And people said, like, I'm just talking and then all of a sudden they interrupt me like, Candice, what are you doing? Because your skin looks amazing. And I'm like, well, that's out of the blue, thank you. But the point is that like, you have a story. So you say to them, listen, I know you're not sure about the product, but here's what I can tell you is the only way you're going to know if it works for you is if you give it 30 days. This isn't like, you know, the only way you know what skincare and if it works is if you try it. You're going to go home and you can think till the cows come home, but you're not going to ever really know what you think until you give it a shot, right? So let's do this. Now, here's the deal. Most likely they're thinking of a couple products. They want more than just a couple. You say, let's do this. Today, let's get your cleanser, your toner, and your moisturizer. But do you think you have a couple friends that would love getting together and have, you know, coffee and cupcakes for a Saturday morning? Because I would love to give you the serum and the eye essence for free if you have 5 or 6 friends that want to get together. This is the only way I had insurance that my business was going to continue is if I booked the things on the calendar. So I would get my calendar out with my pencil because it's really important you use pencil because they said, let's do this. They're like, oh, I need to check with my friends. I don't know when they're free. If you all let them get out of your space without, number 1, giving you their credit card to order the product, or number 2, putting a date at the calendar for their event, they're not ordering and they're not doing a show for you, period. That's just the way it is. They will go home and think about it and talk themselves out of it. You'll be in touch with them. They're not answering their phone and you're frustrated and they're irritated. You know what I mean? So I always say if they want the product and they can't get it all, we back off. We get the things they can afford and we get them a product or two at their own experience. But I say it in a way that they have to have 5 or 6 people. Okay? It's not their mom and they're getting a serum and eye essence. You understand? So I say then, so let's do this. I know you have to go home and talk to your mom and your best friend and everything, but I would hate for you to lose the date that you really want. So what days work better for you? Weekends or weekdays? And always give them 2 choices. Never just give them the calendar and say, pick a day. Because guess what they do? Oh, I don't like overwhelm. Have them narrow it down. Weekday or weekend? Well, weekends are better. Great. Do you think like a Saturday morning or like a Sunday afternoon after church? They're like, maybe a Sunday afternoon. Great. I have Sunday the 27th or Sunday the 20th. Which day works better for you? And I always give the second choice is the choice I want them to pick. Because there's something, and if you were to talk to any speech pathologist, they would tell you, if you want your child to drink milk, you tell them that is the option and the second option. Like, it's a thing. So always, I've been trained that I always want to book close in because I don't want to work 3 weeks from now. I want to work 1 week from now. So my second option is the second thing or my first option is the second choice. And there's something psychologically where they'll pick that. So they pencil it in and I say, listen, I penciled it in. What we'll do is in the next day or so, I'll reach out to you quickly and just make sure that day still works. Great. I'm so excited to get you that serum. It has changed my life. And here, we're going to order this today. Let me grab your information. I'll have it submitted tonight and you'll get it in the next week or so. Thank you. And then I usually go, hey, who's next? Like I'm sitting, I'm not moving, right? Who's next? They come in with, bring your order form, right? And at the very end, people are waiting around with their order forms. They do. So you want to be quick about this. And you're getting the order forms, you shuffle them up. And for me, I would have like somebody pick it or like the hostess pick it. And then maybe I give them $5 off their order or something like that. Okay, I'm going to shut up because that was, I know, a lot. And we did record it for you to be able to watch it later. But I want to know comments, questions, clarifications.
When you have the calendar in front of you, did I hear you say you want to do it the next week or the next 2 weeks? I mean, do you give any time for them to, even if they set a date, which is fantastic, time for them to do the gathering up the friends who could come? Or do you how much time do you give them?
You mean how much time do I need? Oh, so I really believe, so this is a trick of the trade. The closer the party is, the more successful it is. And the reason why is because people know today what they're doing next week. People do not know today what they're doing in 3 weeks. And if they do, they're still going to wait, though, because they're not sure if something else will come up. You all know this is true. I know I'm seeing some nodding heads, right? So I'll tell people, listen, a week out might feel really short notice, but when you reach out to your friends, they're either going to be able to make it or not make it, and at least you're getting your free thing, and that's the thing. I say, listen, you're not just inviting 5 people. If you want 5 or 6, you're inviting 20, 25. So don't worry about the ones who can't come, because 5 to 6 out of those 25 can make it.
Okay.
Does that help?
Yeah, that helps.
Yeah. You don't need a big launch. I'm really, really keen on doing it fast. Fast is easy, you all. Slow is hard, especially in this business. What else? If not, questions, comments, thoughts on this. I think some of the things that I've mentioned may be a little bit at odds with what you already do. So I'd like to hear your thoughts or comments on how you think it'll work or what you're excited about.
Candice, Brenda here.
Hi.
What I've done is around the dining room table, I usually have, the last one I had like 5 people. And I essentially, everyone had their product catalogs out, or not product catalogs out, but their order forms out. And they were going through and asking more questions. So it was me and one other person. So we really didn't have the other room per se.
Find a space, Brenda.
Pardon?
You could even find a space. So it's imperative, actually. The only way people will make purchasing decisions is if they're away from their friends and family.
Okay.
People do not like to make purchases in front of other people, because what happens when you make purchases in front of other people? Does anybody know? Or if people are listening, what do? They automatically either start encouraging the person, which is in your favor, or discouraging. I've been in more rooms where people will be like, Brenda, what are you doing? You can't, you just purchased $200 at Sephora last week. You can't afford this, or whatever, right? They start making decisions for that other person, and they're so influenced by others that they can't make the decision.
Okay, good.
That makes sense? So even if it's not in another room, maybe it's on the other side of the kitchen where you're on a corner of the counter that's not the food.
Right.
Just find an
Makes
intimate
sense.
place. And it could even be the foyer, like whatever it is. I used to walk into houses and I'd case out the joint. I'm like, okay, food, presentation, where's my checkout? I'm like, I'm going to do check, and I'll say to the hostess, I'm going to do checkout right here, okay? Because it's a very private situation. And sometimes people have skin issues they need to talk about, or especially when it comes to booking a show. Listen, my livelihood was on booking shows. If I didn't have shows on the calendar, I was out of business. I did not want their friends telling them they shouldn't have a show because they're too busy. People would tell me right now, Candice, like if I was in a room, Candice, don't book a show, you're too busy. And I am busy, but if I was to book a show, you better believe I'd have 20 people here, you know? And they want me as a hostess. But if a friend told me you're busy, I was too busy, I'd probably be like, oh my gosh, you're right, I am busy. Sorry, I can't do it.
Okay, thanks.
But it is a good question. That's really good. I'm glad you brought that up, Brenda, because I forget sometimes why I do what I do. The only way I can maybe explain the rationale behind it is if you ask clarifying questions like that. That was brilliant. Thanks, Brenda.
That was good, Brenda. And I kind of had the same question because mine is going to be at a wellness center.
Uh-huh.
And I was thinking, oh, well, there isn't another room, but actually there are some offices there. So I think the woman who
is it a big room? But Robin, is it a huge room that you could maybe like go in a corner? It doesn't have, in a space like that, it could be, you should probably be in the same room, because if you hightail it out of the room, like my spidey sense,
they'll hightail it out of the place.
Yeah, they're gonna just book it, right? Like you want a corner where like you still know they're there, but you're private.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. What else? I'm going to be asking for how this worked out for you all and asking for feedback.
Candice?
Yeah.
Do you do the pictures? Where in this would you take pictures?
Oh, oh my gosh. That's such a great question, because that is, so what you could do is, if I was to back up, and I never did this with my last businesses, and what you could do here is, instead of doing a raffle to bring everyone in, you could say, okay, everybody, we're doing before pictures, and have them sit around the table and do the before pictures instead. That way your only raffle you're doing is the door prize at the end with the order forms. Then you could say, I'm so glad you brought that up. This is like a new little trick. Then you could say at checkout, say, okay, everybody, you know, we're going to go into checkout because I want to just see what products you're loving, and I'm going to take your after picture in the other room or something. That's another reason. Okay. And then I'll share with you the two together. What was that, Robin?
Yeah, okay. I was trying to figure out the pictures too. That does sound good.
There's apps where you can do a photo. I don't know if you've seen them, like a collage side by side, where you give them, you can say to them, you can make sure you have their cell phone, or whether they friend you on Facebook, that can also be part of your close, your checkout. Let me friend you quickly on Facebook. And that is actually something that I forget I do organically, is when I'm booking or selling somebody products, I'm like, let me quickly find you on Facebook, or let me quickly get your Insta. Like, we're connecting in a social way on a social platform before they leave my space. Because my other goal with this is to continue to increase my social circle, right?
Mm-hmm.
You could
and
also
then you can send them out before and afters. What's that?
You could also look at it as expanding your product selection to them as well. They may not be taking essentials or something like that.
The bottom line with the Celavive experience is that if you're choosing to go with the Celavive experience, this is a landmark product or flagship product for you. And I've talked a little bit about this. USANA has a really extensive product offering. You cannot throw all the products out at somebody all at once. You can't. You need an intro product, whatever that is for you. When you're hosting a Celavive experience, you're identifying your flagship product as Celavive. So if you're getting them to love Celavive, then they're in your circle and they find out there's other product lines. That's a whole nother conversation for another day, because I do think that with USANA, it can get confusing to your network if you're posting about different products and different product lines every day, because they're going to be like, wait, is this like a weight loss company? Is this a skincare company? what is USANA? And then when a confused mind does nothing, and then they look away and they're not paying attention to you anymore, right? So you have to be really careful with that.
What about, what's your thought on some people, the last time I had the 5 here, one of them didn't want to take her makeup off. And so we did it on her hand, but would you consider suggesting we tell them in one of the invites?
Yeah.
So
that's a great point. I would say my way of dealing with that is very like, come on. Everybody's doing it. Let's go. Like, it's more fun when you do it. And usually people will be like, Donna, you have to do it. We're all doing it, right? So I would maybe somewhere in here say, I would say even maybe 1 week out. Say, listen, I don't know if you have plans for the day. We are trying skincare. For me though, like my skincare regime is such that maybe I have lashes. They're fake, you all. I can take my makeup off and nobody cares. Like, I don't care, right? Like, but some people maybe like, they might go all out. So then I think that's still okay, because I don't think our makeup remover is going to turn any heads enough for them to buy the product. So if they don't use the makeup remover, not a big deal, honestly. But I think that's a good point, Brenda.
No, the point I'm trying to ask is, should you ask them to come without their makeup on before they come?
Oh, I think that to the same point, like you can say we're taking makeup off or don't come with makeup on, either one.
Yeah.
And if they're like, I have to, I'm going to my son's baptism after, well, fine, right? Like in that situation, they wouldn't be coming anyways. That's pretty extreme, but you know what I'm saying? Like if they're going somewhere, for me, it's no big deal to throw some foundation on after, but like eye makeup. So you can say, well, if you need to keep your eye makeup on, totally fine, but you're going to want to experience this for its full effect. And the only way to do that is to put it on your face.
Yeah. Okay.
Personally, I think that's the only way to do it. What else? Good questions.
I heard a suggestion in one of these about that we have a little skin type little questionnaire, just a little one, and it was suggested to send that out before they come, as one of the touch bases before they get there. Have you seen that?
That was the last call.
That was the last call.
I think Steph mentioned that. Now that you mention it, that is something that we have. So what you can do is when you get the yes, or maybe you can send out that skincare questionnaire.
Okay.
At least then you'll know if somebody's like, I'm super oily. You're like, okay, I should probably have the combo to oily, available. But yeah, that's a good point. I like that tool. What else?
Hey, Candice.
Yeah.
It's Lexi. I was just gonna say that on the hub somewhere, I'm sure is where I got it from, all of the resources that we have from you guys. But one of the things that I did for mine was just take, there is an image of oily to combo, and it kind of has like somebody with like little freckles or whatever on there. And I think it maybe says, like dry, dull skin or wrinkles or whatever. And so what I did was take that and put it in, I know Crystal Krebs and myself, we both put a little thing in the chat that you were talking about Red Stamp. We use Canva. And I just pulled that into Canva, and I made like the combo to oily a little bit brighter and the dry and sensitive a little bit brighter. And I shrunk it down to like a business card size and had it laminated. Yeah. So when I set up those stations, there's one at each person's thing, and they just flip it on top.
That's great.
So that's cool.
So it was super
like
easy to make.
Two-sided, so they just flip it one side or the other?
Correct.
Nice.
And then the other thing you said earlier, if you just wanted to buy the like the dry and sensitive kit, because it's a little more universal. Yeah. But if you don't want to buy like the 2 full entire sets, order one set, and the only thing you need to order is the cleanser and the daytime and nighttime lotions to be different, so that you have everything that anyone would need to use. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Instead of buying 2 full sets, buy one set, and then the only 3 products that are different. That way you have everything there for them to use. And they can experience it. And then my only other thing,
the best way to do it. I agree.
Yeah, it just makes a difference when they can even just feel like I've had people use like one on their face and then put one on their hand just so that they can feel the difference and the consistency of it.
Yep.
And then the only other thing I was going to say was one of the things that I feel like has been super useful is I have a little, like a little keynote or a little PowerPoint thing of before and afters from people who have used Celavive. And if I have that either on like the PowerPoint just playing like in a loop beforehand while people are getting there, while you're talking, or even just put it on your iPad and set it up on the table if you're not doing like a big PowerPoint or whatever. That is really an eye opener for people. And that gets people like, oh man, wow, that looks really amazing. I wonder what they were using, or I wonder, it's a good attention.
That is brilliant, actually. Because you can have that during the 15-minute mingle, right? Where they're just, I love it. Great idea.
Yep. Okay, I'm muting myself now because I have obnoxious dogs.
Oh, well, join the club. Thanks, Lexi.
I wanted to ask you, get your opinion on, I talked to Stephanie on this and she thought it was a pretty good idea. I wanted to collaborate with a yoga instructor and have her just do some, I make it a mind-body experience. And so they're coming for more than just Celavive. And
okay, yep, keep going.
And so I spoke with the yoga woman today, and she said, can I have about 30 minutes? And I said, sure, because ours is only 30 minutes. So So
the only thing I would counsel is, Brenda, still control the situation. So in other words, you don't want them just coming for the yoga, the skincare and backing out, right? Like I only worry a little bit about how long that is, really. So I like the idea, and you just have to be really crystal clear on what is your focus and expectation for the event. Is it to continue doing yoga with this person? Is she wanting to sell memberships? Are you wanting to sell Celavive? Or are these people coming and thinking they're just going to try it and walk out the door, right? So you just have to make sure. I find personally that if I am selling a product and it has something competing, even if it's something else, something completely different, it takes away from the focus of what we're doing.
Okay.
So that would be my only concern. I would worry about you actually closing the sale on any Celavive with that.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It does.
Mm-hmm. I don't think it's a bad idea, though. Value added in general, but.
My Celavive events have really been weak as far as attendance.
Yep.
And I thought I could increase it by offering this.
Yeah.
And I last time I invited 40 and I got 5.
Did you do what I was doing and how
there's a few things that I'm not doing. I didn't do. So I'm looking forward to doing that.
Okay, perfect. That's awesome. Thank you. Anybody else? Okay. I hope you all learned a ton, and you have, I know it's probably going to take some time for you to process all of this. So let me know if I can help in any way. And I'm happy to hop on the phone as well. But I'm excited for you all to really take this and run with it, especially. And I challenge you to do something that I did and presented today that you've never done before. And before you judge on whether it'll work, try it and see what you think. All right? Do I get a yes, ma'am, or a
yes, ma'am?
Absolutely.
I was looking for an amen, but I'll take whatever.
Amen. Yes'm.
All right.
Definitely need to text them or contact them more times before the event. I usually get a yes, and because I'm the kind of person, if I say yes, I'm going to do something, I do it.
Most people are not like us. Just recognize most people are not like us. So
no.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thank
you.
Bye.
That was great.